point to you.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you for attending tonight's meeting held by the Planning Office. My name is Rebecca Horner with the Planning Office, and we are going to be having a public meeting to receive your comments tonight, your thoughts, your input before we begin any policy development about the Data Center Opportunity Zone Overlay District zoning text amendment. Many months ago, the board initiated and directed the staff to look at potential areas for expansion along existing infrastructure beyond the existing data center overlay district. So therefore, before we begin any policy development, we wanted to hear from you, your thoughts about this. Logistically speaking, because of the weather, with the expected weather, we did cancel the in-person portion of the meeting tonight, but we recognize that that in-person portion of the public comment is very important to you. So we will be working together as a project team to adding another in-person opportunity in this process. So we will be adding a meeting so that people who want to participate in person can do so. So please be assured that as soon as we have that plan, we will add it to the project webpage so you're aware and can attend and be able to provide comments in person and have that experience. Also, because we have such a large interest and we've received many hundreds of emails related to data centers, and we really appreciate all of those comments. We have a lot of people who would like to speak tonight to provide their input, and we're very excited to hear that input so that we can utilize that to move forward in the process. But we've asked if you could, we're encouraging you to limit your comments to 2 minutes because it will be very difficult to hear from everybody. If we're not able to hear all of your comments in the time frame that we have available for you, please email us your comments in writing as soon as you can so that we have those as part of the. Also, for those people who planned to attend and watch but not speak, they were given a separate link to the project webpage or directed to the project webpage because there is this is being live streamed on Granicus on our project webpage. So for anybody that you know who's maybe struggling to view tonight, please let them know if they go to our project webpage, there is a link that says live and they can stream it live from the website. After tonight, we will be posting this entire recording to our project webpage, to the website, and we will also be airing it on the cable channel a few times after tonight. So we're trying to provide as many opportunities for people to see the comments that are made tonight after tonight. So we can live stream it, but they can also view it later, go back and watch it again if there's something that you really wanted to hear again. I really appreciate you taking the time to provide your comments tonight. We had a very good response. A lot of people had planned to speak in person and also virtually. So thank you for accommodating the change due to the weather. And I just want to reiterate again that we will have an additional in-person opportunity that we had not originally planned in order to substitute for what we couldn't do tonight. So with that, our IT department, Christian Williams and Steve Carwell, will be helping to manage the flow tonight. So they will utilize the same process that they do with the Board of County Supervisors. They'll call you and then you will have your opportunity to speak. So thank you very much for providing your comments.
The first speaker for the evening will be Kim Hosen.
Thank you, Christian, and thank you, Rebecca. I want to open by saying that I am here tonight not speaking in opposition to data centers, but in support of data centers in the right spot, recognizing that site selection is the foundation of sustainable development. I'd also like to remind everyone that Prince William County residents are the #1 stakeholder when land use changes are being considered, perhaps especially when the proposed changes constitute the largest land use changes in more than 30 years. I hope that the county, after more information is available, provides community meetings that are respectful of participants, including a presentation that gives a complete overview of the current situation and takes a comprehensive countywide review that covers active and accepted rezoning and CPA applications, as well as existing conditions. I would urge you to review, organize, and publish all community input. To be respectful of stakeholders, and I know Rebecca gave a list of how we can review this, but I think an analysis would also be very helpful, and to be respectful of stakeholders who are interested in addressing climate change and protecting the quality of their communities. Regarding the overview and what is looked at, I hope that you prioritize redevelopment sites and eliminate environmentally sensitive properties, as well as any parcels that lie within our protected rural area, the Rural Crescent. And I would urge you to include an analysis of potential impacts to the Occoquan Reservoir watershed and complete a countywide review that respects the wishes of residents and protects our environmental and cultural assets. Thank you.
Your next speaker is David Peterson.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Horner, for this opportunity to express my concerns regarding the comprehensive review. Regarding the comprehensive review, 3 questions have been on my mind. First, have we provided enough time for this comprehensive review? Slide 9 of the DCO ZOD public meeting 10/21/2021 PowerPoint file shows this review will be completed by spring 2022. However, on the comprehensive review website, under project task 3 policy development has slipped to early 2022, and task 4 adoption now has no date assigned to it. The comprehensive review schedule reasonableness relates to my second question. The 18 May 2021 Prince William County Board of Supervisors resolution number 21-327 specified a scope of work with 10 major and 11 subordinate tasks. These are not trivial tasks. They require significant amounts of time and resourcing to properly accomplish. Several important questions come to mind. Primarily, have we provided enough resources for performing these difficult studies? And when the studies become available, will the public have an opportunity to review and comment on them? This leads to my third question. Will current levels of time and resources enable the in-depth studies that the comprehensive review so importantly needs? For example, the data center market study dated 20 October 2021 is posted to the comprehensive review website. Unfortunately, this report is only 35 pages long, and it reads like an executive summary of a longer, more detailed report. In fact, the data center market study raises as many questions as it answers. In summary, many critical questions about schedule and resources remain regarding the comprehensive review process and products. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Diana Perfect.
I'm mute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I moved to the Heritage Hunt community in Gainesville in 2020, expecting to spend the rest of my life in what I thought was a beautiful area. But now I'm frankly appalled to know that the county has plans to ruin the character of Gainesville by allowing construction of industrial data centers seemingly everywhere. Even under present plans, it seems that every time I leave my community, I will be driving by these hideous complexes. Therefore, I'm strongly opposed to the expansion of the Data Center Opportunity Zone Overlay District. And I've heard the greedy private interests making the stupid argument that the area is already ruined as it is no longer, quote, rural. And their idiotic solution is to just make it worse. and of course, while they cash out. The reasoning is ridiculous. The word rural is just a label. There is a huge environmental difference between open, mostly undeveloped land and ugly industrial blight. Data centers are just incompatible with parks, residential communities, and other human-oriented uses providing services such as medical and shopping. I grew up in a Chicago neighborhood surrounded by industrial complexes on 3 sides, and it was awful. Large blocks of land like data center complexes were just cut out of our community and made inaccessible to us. Yet, we could still see, smell, and hear the industrial mess inside. I've seen Ashburn, Virginia, and it's ugly. That is not what we want for the Gainesville area. This is not progress. It's just destructive, soul-sucking, and future generations will malign you for it. Prince William County, instead of being known for its beautiful character and its beautiful atmosphere of history, open rolling countryside and wineries, will be known for the industrial blight of data centers, and those who can afford to will just.
Your next speaker is Vida Carroll.
Vida Carroll, Brentsville District, and I had some comments prepared, but I don't even know if it really matters what any of us say tonight. But I was driving down Vint Hill Road earlier today, by the way, no snow. Roads were perfectly clear when a bald eagle literally flew over my car and landed 10 feet to my left in the median. And it was incredible. And with this meeting on my mind, it just got me thinking, where is that bald eagle going to go when the open farmland I had just drove past is slated for data center development? How symbolic. This proposed development could destroy the habitat of this exact bald eagle. But enough poetics, the fact I'm speaking to virtually right now due to the weather is ridiculous. On Tuesday, the board asked you what the rush was, Ms. Horner, and you said there's no rush. But your paid consultant on this project is only contracted for 6 more weeks. Ms. Horner, you forwarded this copy of a timeline for this project. This is printed out from the email you sent. Is this some sort of joke? This looks like bad clip art. There's no concrete dates, no deliverables, no details, nothing. What have you all been doing for the past 6 months? The county has been paying this consultant for this project since June. Where is the work? Why is all of this solicitation of public comment, looking at economic impact, development of actual drafts? Why is this all being done now in the last 6 weeks? And for what it's worth, I do support data center development in appropriate industrial areas. I am not behind the times. I'm not naive to the tax revenue that comes with the growth of this county. However, and let me make this extremely clear, I am also not naive to the fact that this planning office and this board is hell-bent on placing these giant concrete buildings in every bit of open space left in this county, no matter if that land is right next to a residential home or rural lot, no matter if that land is next to an elementary school or a historic battlefield, no matter if that land doesn't have access to sewer or public water, no matter if every single constituent is against it, no matter what, and no matter the cost. That is your policy when it comes to data center development. It's embarrassing. Get a grip. Your public servants, act like it.
Your next speaker is Christopher Carroll.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Carroll of the Brentsville District. First off, I want to start by also expressing my extreme disappointment that this meeting was switched to all virtual and not postponed. Public safety should not be used as an excuse here, as that excuse was shot down by the board and the county executive at Tuesday's board meeting. It's quite frankly a debacle and embarrassment. With all that said, here are my recommendations. First, concerning enhanced design guidelines, there are no design guidelines that will help a data center in the rural crescent. The answer is do not build data centers in the rural crescent. Second, concerning sustainability guidelines, the detriments of throwing data centers up in the rural crescent far outweigh any sustainability that industrial data centers claim to have. Do not build data centers in the rural crescent. Third, regarding the data center overlay map, the data center overlay should not be expanded into the rural crescent. The environmental and infrastructure concerns are too large. This is common sense. The sole justification for a data center should not be that there is a power line on the property, whether it's in the rural crescent or otherwise. Fourth, why on earth are we just now reviewing the necessary demand for data centers over the next 20 years in the county? Shouldn't that have been done before anything else? No recommendations should be made until that study is complete, as several of the local approved data center sites are not filled and are looking for occupants. Fifth, if we have a data center overlay map, we should follow it. The board obviously thinks this map is a joke as they have approved countless data centers over the overlay. Sixth, the data center overlay map should not include the Vinhill corridor in Oaksville. A data center is proposed here and there is no sewer, no water, it's in the floodplain and wetlands. It's gonna ruin our septic fields. There's not an industrial building in sight. Home values will be wrecked. It's on gravel roads surrounded by rural residential housing and local farms and livestock. I look forward to an in-person public comment meeting in the future on proposed guidelines and a proposed new overlay zone map. And I'm glad to hear that meeting is scheduled.
Your next speaker is Dorsey Wamba.
So I just wanted to talk about the data center overlay district. Paramount to any decisions about the development in Prince William County, even with the overlay district, the impact on climate is something that we should be looking at every time we make decisions. Data centers are projected to consume 20% of projected electricity demand by 2030. Prince William County must step up and have a climate as one of the primary risk-benefit analyses for the overlay district. Plan positively, ensure any or proposed data centers in the overlay district will have most efficient use of energy, will last far into the future as possible so massive eyesores are not left as this Planning Commission's and Board of County Supervisors legacy. Court hyperscale data centers with almost 4 times the efficiency of standard data centers. Encourage novel and energy positive uses of water that needs to be disposed of. And above all, keep all data centers in the data overlay district and do all in your power to never allow rezoning of Pageland Lane Technology Gateway to come into the area. Do not eliminate what is precious in Prince William County, a sense of place. There is no planet B. My name is Dorsey Wambach and I live in Haymarket.
Your next speaker is Lori Fenn.
Hi, my name is Lori Fenn. The expansion of the data center overlay district impacts my community because it will bring the Bi-County Parkway and impact the groundwater. We rely on well and septic. It will increase traffic, noise, air pollution, and create safety concerns for the citizens on Dumfries Road, south of Brentsville Road. Neighborhood streets, private driveways exit directly onto this road without red lights. There are 4 schools and traffic is already a mess in the morning and afternoons and when there's a school event. 234 is not a bypass or a highway. It's our mid-county semi-rural community. Who decides what is compatible land use? The county, the citizens, landowners who profit, speculators, industrial CEOs, outside influencers? Is this process legit, ethical? Are citizens being railroaded? Land brokers should not have so much influence over local government. Build data centers in the current 10,000 acre overlay where the infrastructure exists. Is industry next to the national park and state park compatible? The nation's history, watershed, environment, wildlife habitats, protected waterways, natural resources, and quality of life will be impacted. Citizens never dreamed they'd live next to 2,200 acres of data centers and industry, as it's not a compatible land use. What has changed since the citizens on Pageland fought against the Bi-County Parkway and Disney? This proposal pushes families out of their homes, reduces the value of their investments to benefit a few. Zigzagging industry throughout the rural area without infrastructure is not compatible, equitable, and is just plain wrong. Landowners can sell for A1 and AE. They can create an ag business and still profit. We don't want their dirty money or promises that they will make contributions to the county in change for the destruction of the rural crescent and our country.
Your next speaker is Mark Thomas.
Hey, everybody. Data centers are great. I just happen to oppose the expansion into the rural crescent. whether it's the digital gateway or this little overlooked thing called the Data Center Edge District on Nokesville Dirt Roads. Expansion is driven by the county's desire to have tax revenues. We understand that, but it's bolstered by a claim that we have no land left in the overlay. I'd like to suggest a solution, maybe an off-ramp. The first step is finding common ground with solid facts about the status of the existing overlay. I've seen citizens perform a market analysis, a summary of which was published in a local newspaper that finds there's 6 million square feet built, 27 million more square feet approved or in being built. That's all on 1,700 acres. Guess what? We already top Loudoun County. There's another 1,600 acres that can support 20 to 30 million. We double Loudoun County without expansion. If we want to find a solution, I implore staff to sit down at the table with citizens only to discuss these facts. No consultants, no developers. These facts lead to a win-win solution. County gets its revenue. We save our rural area. We save the battlefield environment. We don't get a New Jersey turnpike. Congratulations, we all win. The facts will set you free.
Your next speaker is Phyllis Thompson.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
I'm Phyllis Thompson, and I'm a resident of Pageland Lane and of Prince William County for 37 years. I'm speaking in favor of extending the data center overlay to meet the needs of Prince William County as a whole. Gainesville Crossing has already been approved for a data center and is outside the overlay. And it is just beside the Battlefield Park, right at the end of Pageland Lane. Extending the overlay can help meet the county's strategic goals, one of which is to improve quality education and workforce development. Data centers provide money for education and with workforce will be developed for construction jobs and tech jobs. Wouldn't it be great to have money to increase mental health resources and counselors in all the schools? Another goal to eliminate housing barriers. Many service-oriented professionals cannot afford to live here. The rural crescent has 1 house to 10 acres and excludes many. It's an exclusionary zone. Another is to support profit-generating business, another goal of the county, and to expand the commercial tax base. Data centers can do this. Extending the data center overlay is smart for Prince William County, especially with the Pageland corridor that supplies land, power lines, fiber connectivity, and water sewer close by. Thank you very much.
Your next speaker is Ali Imam.
Ali Imam and my wife Shamim Ismail, Gainesville District. Thank you for your hard work and your service for Prince William County. We are a Pageland Corridor landowner since 2006 and support PW Digital Gateway for data centers. My family and all the people we know who live in the Pageland Corridor strongly believe that Pageland Corridor is no longer rural. Putting a data center corridor along existing massive transmission lines just makes good sense and offers PWC residents enormous economic opportunities, including creating new jobs, improving schools' infrastructures, increasing commercial tax base, and reducing tax burden on homeowners. Besides all these, it will put Prince William County at the forefront of data center industries in the world. According to a recent survey, it is speculated that data center services market valuation will reach to about 106 billion by 2026 from about 50 billion in just 2 years ago. We all want PWC to attract data centers services to support that growth, which would be a win-win-win for the state, Prince William County residents, and the landowners. Recent innovations in cooling technology for data centers are extremely environmentally friendly. For example, in immersion cooling technology, all IT equipments are completely submerged in a biodegradable liquid, making the cooling mechanism almost silent and requiring 90% less water than conventional air cooling. Undoubtedly, data center industries are bound for significant growth over the next few years, and we want your support for PW Digital Gateway so that Prince William County can be a part of that growth. Thank you.
Your next speaker is James Wiley.
Good evening. Prince William County is the second most populated county in the state of Virginia, with only 48% of the county in the development area. The demand for the commercial industrial zone land over the last 2 years has been robust, with over 4,000 acres of land being absorbed in 2019 alone. Land prices are now exceeding $1 million per acre for parcels of all sizes. The upswing in land prices are a direct result of the dwindling supply of non-residentially zoned land remaining in Prince William County. Per Frank Hunt of the Prince William County Planning Department, as of December 31st, 2020, there remains only 1,400 acres of land, of non-committed zoned land left in the entire county. And with the data center overlay, there's less than 200 acres of land remaining for data center development. There is no land available to meet this increasing demand. More land must be made available to facilitate data demand, as the benefits far outweigh the costs. By creating more land for data demand, the county will directly benefit and its constituents with increased revenue for schools, parks, reduced taxation, increased commercial tax base, better parks, and higher paying jobs. Without expanding the boundaries for data center demand will result in the data industry taking their business to other municipalities. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Michelle Cunningham.
Hi. My family, can you hear me? My family, we moved here with our 2 small children in 2012 from Loudon. We are living near Sterling, which was pretty much no green space, little spots here and there. We are thrilled to be able to afford coming here and moving to a townhouse that had in Gainesville and Haymarket that had places to hike around it and trees and green. And we can rent a townhouse here on one income, so I could stay home with our children. But if you take away that green space, it's gone. It's gone. And I will be living in near Sterling, so it's mostly all cement. So I ask you to please consider not taking away green space. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Paige Snyder.
Hi, I'm Paige Snyder, and I live on Pageland Lane. I applaud and appreciate our governing body's vision and business acumen to look at ways to expand our overlay district. If we are to increase our data centers and our commercial tax base, we must look at where the existing infrastructure is. There are many drivers of demand for data centers. Artificial intelligence and autonomous vehicles, we've just begun to scratch the surface for that. Mobile data traffic is going up significantly. Data centers put a huge capital investment that goes into the county's economy and also grows an ecosystem that supports a lot of areas of the county. The need for jobs within our county is great. And data centers would create many union jobs, construction jobs, and permanent jobs over many, many years. Data centers are a hub of innovation. I think one of the things that, and when I talk about innovation, they are very, very concerned about being sustainability and eco-friendly and all that kind of stuff. And one of the people mentioned that we will lose our green space. And a lot of the green space we're talking about is privately owned and means that people can't, the public cannot access it. By creating data centers, there will be a lot of dedication of green space that will connect parks, make more trails, and protect our riparian areas. I totally support the looking at the expansion of the data center overlay district. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Ruthann Pizaretz. Ruthann, please unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Ruthann Pizaretz, I am a resident of Pageland Lane area, and I started in this area in the year 2000 when my mother moved into the early parts of Heritage Hunt. Never really understood why she wanted to live in that area, as it just began to be a major sprawl. When I had the opportunity to move about 5 years ago to this area on a little patch of land, I thought this would be just great. The trouble is, in this 5 years, it's been very difficult to watch the massive expansion. More recently in Haymarket, I'm just blown away by that. At this point, I believe that the data centers will have the least impact in this area in terms of being able to use the space effectively without impacting the environment. I believe that the data centers have the capacity to use public utilities and also possibly use the optional solar panels in order to reduce the EMFs that we're currently experiencing in this area. As for it being a rural area, in the past 2 years, all wildlife that we saw when we came even 5 years ago have basically disappeared. There are commercial ventures in my neighborhood. I can see 3 of them from my property. Data centers bring a win-win for Prince William County and its residents. The tax base will effectively boost everybody's opportunities for the government, for schools. It'll reduce real estate taxes. There's going to be 2 sides of every story. But at this point, I believe that the data centers in this area will have the least impact. And I don't believe anybody.
Your next speaker is Marilyn Karp. Marilyn, please unmute.
Rebecca, my name is Marilyn Karp, and I live in the rural Crescent on Little River Road. You cannot continue with any of this so-called planning without completing a water study for this entire county, a study that we have asked for more than a year. You, if you have any brains, must know that data centers use huge amounts of water. And you don't know what the state of the water tables in this county is. And you do not know how much runoff there will be from creating so many of these impervious surfaces. And you do not know what all of this is going to mean to the salt in the water. We are now sitting in a weather system where we're getting snow day after day. You must have a conscience. You must have a moral compass to do what is best for this entire county, because you are not just affecting the rural Crescent. You are affecting the east side, the west side, and mid-county. So please do your job as though you were a real human being who had a real moral compass and some integrity. Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Crown.
Hi, my name is John Crown from the Gainesville District. I've lived in the Rural Crescent for 20 years. I've seen the Pageland Corridor go from just a few cars a day to the interstate it is today. Massive behemoth power lines run the length. I have one of the largest solar arrays in Prince William County and proudly net zero. I believe we can achieve net zero through smart planning. I have chosen to support the Prince William County Gateway so we can sacrifice 1% of the Rural Crescent to bring Prince William residents 60% more revenue to build schools, roads, crosswalks, trails, and even more parkland. I repeat, 60 to 70% more revenue with just a sacrifice of 1% of the Rural Crescent. This makes sense for the majority of Prince William County residents. 99% of the Rural Crescent will not be touched, neither will the battlefield. In fact, on New Year's Day, Janice Stone from the PW Conservation Alliance said, "You can already see houses. You would be replacing a house with a data center. Not sure there is a huge difference. The intrusion on your view would still be shielded by these trees here, and you still have these power lines. Not a big difference," she said. Many on the opposition side says do not build on Pageland since there is already designated overlay south of 66. Folks, we're here to talk about the 2040 plan, not the 2022 plan. By the time we see 2040, those data centers in the current overlay south of 66 will already be built and at capacity. Supervisors, I implore you to take a hard look at the use of waterless cooling technology. Your own report from the Environmental Department did not consider this. This is your opportunity to require data centers to implement new net zero standards in the Pageland corridor to have zero impact on the Occoquan, zero impact on our water table, no waste, and up to a 90% reduction in power usage. This technology is here now. Show leadership by making the 2040 Pageland corridor net zero.
Your next speaker is Kevin Kask.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Kask, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Piedmont Environmental Council. While we acknowledge the increasing market for data centers in Northern Virginia, we believe that data centers, like any industry, should not be exempt from thoughtful land use and infrastructure planning. We support data center development in the appropriate places in developed areas connected to utility infrastructure and county services. And we support an overlay district that designates those areas through a transparent and informed process. The County Economic Development Department conducted an analysis of the available land in the overlay that found that the current overlay still has a substantial capacity to accommodate data center development. 1,120 acres are owned by data center developers, 634 acres are considered site ready, 739 acres require assemblage, totaling in 2,493 acres planned for data center development. For comparison, Loudoun County's data center alley, the largest concentration of data centers in the world, comprises approximately 2,000 acres, inclusive of parking, drive aisles, and stormwater management. This area near the existing wastewater treatment plant that provides water for cooling, transmission lines, and road infrastructure minimized the need for extension of county services and was located in a well-established industrial growth area nowhere near the rural policy area. We advocate for the gradual incorporation of land into the overlay as the available 2,493 acres are built out and we learn how that development meets market demand, rather than replanting excessive amounts of land. We urge the county to avoid expansion of the overlay district into the rural crescent and to avoid haphazardly designating land for data center development in order to subsidize a development boom while undermining the original purpose of the rural crescent designation. We believe Prince William County can have a thriving data center industry without allowing industrial sprawl into the rural crescent. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Michelle Winters.
Hi, my name is Michelle Winters. I live actually in the Occoquan district. So while this doesn't necessarily directly affect me, it does affect my quality of life and the county itself. I don't think that the data overlay district should be moved into the rural crescent. I think that the planners should think about what we want the rest of the counties in Virginia to think of when they think of Prince William. I moved here because I have land here. We have chickens, we get fresh eggs, we can have vegetables. That's the future that we're looking at here, saving the environment. We're all praising the kids who were trying to save the environment, making us pay plastic bag taxes, making us have electric cars while destroying trees and open spaces is not going to work. We can't undo it's harder to undo the destroying of the environment. So I think the benefits to the county to protect the environment and keep our quality of life far outweigh the benefits of changing this designation. There is room in the overlay district right now where people can build. And I always think of the meme that says, imagine how many trees we would be planting if they gave off something useful like Wi-Fi. Instead, all they do is provide us with oxygen, so no one wants to save them or keep them. Thank you. That's it.
Your next speaker is Cliff Pitts.
Yes, good evening. I've been a Virginia resident since 1982 and moved to Prince William County in 2005. We moved from Fairfax out here because we felt it was a beautiful place to live, a wonderful place to spend the rest of our lives out here. I do not believe the proposal that we're talking about tonight is needed for construction of data centers. There's plenty of other land better suited for them and available. I believe it is an effort to destroy the Fertile Crescent, an effort, a concept desired by special interests. I am a biology major, retired Air Force officer, high school science teacher, and a master naturalist. I'm proud to say that I support and vote for individuals and not parties. This issue will be my #1 factor for the 2023 elections. My vote, campaign support, monetary contributions, and my networking with hundreds of people will depend on this decision. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Nikki Bland.
Hi, my name is Nikki Bland of the Gainesville District, and I live on Pageland Lane. Expanding the overlay district is the right thing to do for Prince William County. We have the opportunity to leapfrog past years of lagging behind our neighboring counties and offering better opportunities in every aspect of our lives. The facts prove that data centers are our best and fastest path to increase tax revenues. Data doesn't lie. There are those who believe that data centers bring nothing but negative impacts to a community. Unfortunately, it seems they're relying on outdated impacts of data centers to the environment, myths about data center technology, minimizing the job opportunities data centers bring, and more. But again, data doesn't lie. Here are just a few facts. With the advent of 5G, mobile traffic will increase threefold by 2026. In 2018, the data center and related services industry was responsible for supporting nearly 1,800 full-time equivalent jobs, paying $111.4 million in employee compensation and $292 million in economic output. And that was just in Prince William County. That same year, data center tax revenue for Prince William County was only $35 million. In 2021, it was up to $80 million. And that's based on a fraction of the data center industry investment we could have if there were more space appropriately zoned. Data centers are efficient, increasing energy consumption by only 6% during the same period. Computing output increased sixfold. Data centers use closed loop water cooling, consume 2,000 gallons of water per day, as opposed to traditional data centers, which use over 1 million, the same as an 18-hole golf course. Data centers are also quieter than an airplane flying overhead to Dulles. There are understandably a lot of concerns around expanding the overlay district, but let's rely on facts, not fear. Data doesn't lie. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Barbara Kennefack. Barbara.
Sorry. Here we go. Sorry. I'm Barbara Kennefack, and I live in Heritage Hunt, and I'm opposed to the Pageland Data Center. Building these data centers is a huge environmental issue. These data centers need water to cool the computer equipment. Where do they get the water? Yes, they would use our precious groundwater that we use for drinking water. In addition, buildings of the data center will affect the watershed due to sediment. What happens to our groundwater and drinking water if in the future we have a serious drought like the West Coast has experienced with all the data centers that are around? The size of Prince William is 348 square miles and currently have 33 data centers and 8 more under construction. Fairfax County is 406 square miles and have 43 data centers, and Loudoun County 522 square miles and have 100 data centers. Are we in competition with Loudoun County and their 100 data centers? Why the need to have so many data centers within such close proximity to our neighboring counties? Why scar up our beautiful rural area and cause environmental damage to our watershed and other environmental pollutants? We must pay attention and protect our environment for ourselves and for our future generations. Thank you very much.
Your next speaker is Melanie Williams.
Hi, my name is Melanie Williams, and I'm from the Gainesville district. I do have property on Pageland Lane. I do support expanding the data center overlay for several reasons. A major reason is to increase our commercial tax base. I plan to continue living here. I've lived here my entire life on our farm, and I will continue to live here after this project is complete, if it comes to completion. A lot of people have said that we're going to get greedy, we're going to move away. That is not the case for me. So I have a well, and I am concerned about water usage and things of that nature. If this project goes through, the data centers will run off of public water, not well water. Again, somebody else has already made a point that we are in close proximity to public water at the end of Pageland. I think, not considering this opportunity is really counting the county out. This is not something that any of us are taking lightly. It's something that we've really thought about. The power is here. There's no reason for us to look at other areas of the county to expand this. This is a very, very, very small piece of the rural crescent. I do think it's kind of funny that a lot of the people that oppose this project moved here to golf course communities and other developments that ruined our way of life. When I grew up here 50 years ago, I played on these farms. Many of the people that oppose this say, well, when I moved here, I wanted it to stay rural. Well, guess what? You all started ruining the ruralness a long time ago when the developments came and you moved in. Development never stops. I think that that's something that everybody here fails to recognize. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Robert Weir.
Evening. Quite frankly, I'm surprised I'm wasting my time tonight because this meeting is a travesty. It's more of a travesty than the rural area meetings you had, Rebecca. You know, we're here supposed to comment on something. Comment on what? Where are the presentations that you guys were supposed to have at the George Mason Center tonight? Where are the third-party presentations, both of which your long-range planner promised the Planning Commission would be made available tonight at last week's meeting? What are we supposed to comment on? We can comment on Christina Wynn's letters from last May and from last June, one to the board and one to Parag, regarding what space there was left in the county, and particularly in the overlay. But now she comes out with, in response to a FOIA, and says that the study's not done. So what are we to believe? The numbers from last year or the fact that those numbers aren't done? The numbers that she's printing, the numbers that Carter Wiley are quoting, are wrong. And the numbers inside the build-out report, as Mr. Wiley would attempt to use them, can't be used that way because they factor in both constructed and unconstructed properties. You know, you guys haven't done your job here. You haven't proven anything. Where is the documentation to any of the claims that you're making? Where's the demand analysis? Where's the revenue projections? This is the stuff that we're supposed to be commenting on for this expansion, yet there's none of that available. You know, why aren't the small areas, the small CPAs that were thrown into the comp plan included? Why isn't a digital gateway included as part of this? Why hasn't staff spoken to those who put the overlay district together in the first place and negotiated it, including Dominion Power? You've kept all of the responsible parties out of this. You've kept it in-house. You've let Alex Stanley manage this, who is not qualified to do this. And this is what we're left with. Yet another travesty and a waste of our time. When are you guys going to wake up, start listening to the residents, and act like responsible civil servants that you're supposed to be? Thank you.
Your next speaker is Carl Breton.
Do not enlarge the overlay zone. We want to meet in person and give comments. Push back the timeline and delay any vote until this meeting occurs. Now that data centers are built in Loudoun County, please show an economic impact analysis compared to Loudoun. Residents in Loudoun are saying there is a $50 million shortfall in their budget. The grid structure with power needs and needed transmission lines has not been determined. Dominion Energy should provide an energy impact statement. Land prices for proposed data centers are rising to unprecedented heights in Loudoun County and Prince William County, with recent deals at $1 million per acre. That is quite a profit to landowners. The high rate of growth for data centers in Northern Virginia will continue and be abated only by the lack of land availability. This sounds like as soon as one boundary for the data center zone is reached, the boundary will be enlarged to continue growth everywhere. Keep open space. Data center growth in Prince William County is astounding. Land is bought, trees cut down, and then the land sits barren. Build out the data center complex prior to allowing more data centers to be built, zoned, and built. Evaluate the budget, then move on. Focus development in other areas such as brownfields and grayfields, and also Possum Point. Local property tax rates are a factor, but all other things being equal are not the primary consideration for data center selection. Residents should receive a larger tax deduction rather than a few cents as of last year. With assessed values going up, taxpayers have to pay more. Buffer zones do not replace the hard concrete and asphalt from previous forested or open land. Keep the agricultural zoning. Do not enlarge the overlay zone. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Dan Gilligan.
Mute and the video. Thank you. My name is Dan Gilligan. I live in Heritage Hunt. And as you've heard tonight, there are many valid reasons why data centers should not be located close to existing residential areas. But my focus tonight is on one topic that has not been discussed, and that is noise. Actually, I'm fortunate to live in the northwest section of Heritage Hunt where data center noise might be reduced. I am, however, very concerned and sympathetic to my friends and neighbors who live on the east side of Heritage Hunt who might have to endure dreadful, I emphasize dreadful, 24/7, I emphasize 24/7 noise generated by a nearby data center. Heat is the enemy of data processing, and when outdoor temperatures heat up, as they do in Virginia, data centers utilize enormous exterior compressors and fans to protect their interior processing equipment. In various reports I have read, exterior noise is a very common complaint about data centers. I have searched but have been able to find any consideration of noise issues in Prince William County documents. This is something that needs more attention and research. I'm not sure if officials are even aware that noise issues experienced in other jurisdictions. It seems reasonable to me that before county officials approve locating a data center near Heritage Hunt, They should be required to visit some existing Virginia data centers on a hot summer day and hear the noise firsthand. Please, officials, do not cover your ears and pretend this is not a problem. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Elaine Romanes.
Good evening. I'm really concerned about Gainesville. I'm a Gainesville resident in Heritage Hunt. What's happening to Gainesville? The planning for land use seems to be going in the wrong direction, and Gainesville is headed to becoming a concrete jungle. Last year, during the lockdown, when no one could attend opposition meetings, 3 digital sites were approved by the Prince William County Board of Supervisors. Gainesville Crossing, across from a national forest, the junction of Route 66 and Route 29, and the junction of Route 55 and Catharpin Road, which is near 2 schools and also 2 residential parcels. Huge monoliths, cement barrier walls, constant humming, and lights burning 24/7, all of which can contribute to health issues and concerns for the school children and residents around them. If approved, the Catharpin site may require more infrastructure to support it, which means more electrical grids and substations. As I stood in the Hampton Inn parking lot and looked up and saw the huge concrete ramps and overpasses full of trucks and cars, a mile-long cargo train came rambling through under the overpass, and I just shook my head. Constituents have asked their representatives to stop building these centers. Agencies have weighed in with reports to stop building, and media reporters have asked to stop the build. Yet the planning department and Board of Supervisors have lost their way in listening to the wants and needs of their constituents. I asked the Planning Department and Board of Supervisors, is this the type of legacy you want to leave your children? Do you want?
Your next speaker is Dan Hutchinson.
Hi, I live on Patient Lane. I support the data center overlay. First, some points to raise that other people have already raised here. There is not woods on Page Lane. It's already cleared out. It's been farmland for ages. There's every house around here is close to 10 acres, so it's not near residents. The water issue, it's being supplied by public water, and it's not anywhere close to the, well, there's a little part, but it's not close to the battlefield, so I don't see any blight issues too. The overlay deals with these issues. I support the Prince William County Pageland Lane overlay. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Garland Williams.
How you doing? My name is Garland Williams. I support the expansion of the overlay district. This will increase our commercial tax base and benefit all the citizens of Prince William County. I find it humorous that, you know, people that move here to developments that used to be farms, they want to tear up the old farms, but they don't want us to, you know, on our side, they don't want us to do anything on this part of the county. I cannot understand that. You move here, it doesn't say, oh, this is going to stay just like, you know, when you first moved here or you first saw it, it's going to stay this way the rest of your life. It's everything changes. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Francis Calvratanos.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity to speak regarding the expansion of the data center. I'm going to say this first so I don't get it doesn't get cut off at the end. But listening to a lot of the people who are for the expansion, it kind of the cynic in me wonders that asked what do they stand to gain from this expansion? Probably a lot of money. Seems to me that tearing down trees and replacing them with monolithic concrete structures is not progress. And it's just bowing down to corporate powers and landowners and special interest groups that want nothing more than to fill their coffers with the only green that they care about, which is money. And I'm a native Virginian. My husband's a native Washingtonian. We moved to Gainesville about 8 years ago to escape the hectic, crowded environment of being close into the city. And I think that these proposed data centers will destroy the last vestiges of a quieter, more simple way of life that so many people want to get back to. Not only will the data center obliterate the rural crescent sooner or later and the last of the wide open spaces in the area, but it's going to massively increase the already horrible traffic we have coming in and out of this area. And the data center is going to be a technological blight on this area. It's going to produce more pollution and noise and crowded spaces, and there'll be more wires and feed lines and further desecration of the landscape. And it's going to be ugly. I don't know how anyone could prefer.
Your next speaker is Douglas Brady.
Hi, my name is Doug Brady. My wife and I have lived in the county for 35 years, half the time in Woodbridge, first half, and the second half here in Gainesville. I've only familiarized myself with this information over the last 3 days, so some naivete might be present, but my understanding is the DCO ZOD data center overlay was put together in order to provide an area for data centers to build and to facilitate and expedite their process without having to go through special use permits. My understanding also is in looking at the map of the DCO ZOD versus the outer crescent, the rural crescent, it doesn't seem to overlap except in one spot next to 28. I'm told that Pageland apparently is outside of and in the rural crescent. My main, and I hope that zoning rules will help to settle questions regarding a lot of that stuff. But I think the main thing I wanted to focus on was that I believe that U.S. Green Building Council, USGBC, offers LEED, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, LEED. There are certifications that are available in this regard. And my feeling is that if people are able to realize that are running these places, savings in energy, water, maintenance, and waste, that they can actually be certified at a level of organizational silver, gold, or platinum. And my suggestion to the county would be to consider incentivizing data centers to pursue this, and that the LEED certification.
Your next speaker is Mike Kaczmarek.
Mike Kaczmarek, Heritage Hunt. Why is the planning office requesting public comment on expanding data center opportunity zone overlay districts before Prince William County has produced a definitive study on the availability of land in the overlay district and the need for these projects? I would assume that would be the first step, an analysis of supply and demand before you decide to expand the supply of land. I've sent an email from Christine Wynn that Prince William County has not yet hired a consultant to do a comprehensive study of land available for data centers. The study will not be completed till early spring. I would hope that you would gather additional comments after the study is published. So my comments are related to what I want to see in that study. First, review the current overlay area, identify all land available for data center development, then identify all land not suitable for data centers, and identify specific criteria to why this land is not suited, and then apply these same standards to all the land outside the overlay district. If the land is not considered economically viable, what is the current assessment value of the land and existing facilities? If it has any, or is it vacant land? If not environmentally or topographically suitable, what specific criteria was used? Land approved for data centers should have also calculate the distance to the nearest residence. Any action should wait until this study is complete and be verified. This effort is being pushed without any verification on the need and tax revenue that will be generated. Also, you need to wait for the completion of Gainesville Crossing. This is your first effort outside the overlay district, and it is the perfect test case for expanding the district, especially the Prince William Digital Gateway. Gainesville Crossing is only beginning construction, and until it is in full operation, you will not know for sure if your environmental study is correct. It will be a very good predictor of the environmental and quality and life damages that will occur if the overlay district is expanded. It's claimed that
your next speaker is Carolyn Cameron.
Hello, I had something else planned, but given what I've heard this evening, I'd like to, maybe refute some of the things. First of all, I agree with the person who said it's really funny that most of the people that are for the data centers live on Pageland Lane. And we know that they stand to make a lot of money. So I would take what they have to say with a grain of salt. The second thing is data centers only employ 25 to maybe 80 people. So the jobs to be gained are very far and few between, and probably a lot of people will come from outside Prince William County. Why is traffic up on Pageland Lane? Because of all the ill-planned projects that are currently happening. Again, lack of lack of thoughtful planning on behalf of the board. That's another reason traffic is up. So maybe if we had better planning, our traffic would be better mitigated. So all we're going to have is data centers. Where will people live? Why will people even want to live here? Again, green space is good for mental health. The other thing I heard people saying is, oh, the tax revenue. Loudoun County lost $60 million. It's here, I have it, I could share my screen. $60 million in projected tax revenue last year because of data centers. The other thing is, again, the people on Pageland, they can move. The supervisors, where do they live? They're not going to live next to the data center. And as far as water consumption, as data centers not using water, collectively, data centers are among the top 10 water-consuming industrial or commercial industries in the US. And most people don't know how much water they use. They keep it hidden. In fact, until Google was challenged by a conservatory investigation, they hid their amount of water.
Your next speaker is Claudia Thompson-Deal.
Certainly you must be concerned about our drastically changing climate. Do you see the connection with the environmental impact of 2,100 acres of new development in the Bi-County Parkway? Surely you are aware of heat islands, the incredible amount of water and energy that data centers use, and the need to protect our dwindling open space. Yet this massive project is being proposed in the rural crescent, adjacent to our national park. Manassas Battlefield Park is where visitors come from all over the country to understand our history. I was walking there recently and spoke with visitors from Florida that were reading interpretive signs. They were there specifically to study the Civil War. Do you think they would have the same sense of reverence and awe looking at a background of data centers? Yes, the transmission lines are awful, but does that mean we need to give up? There are many examples of native wildflowers grown under power lines that require regular mowing. I've seen harriers, also called marsh hawks, hunting under the power lines. Although the lines are clearly visually obtrusive, the land below is not a waste area. At least it's a pervious site, unlike the acres and acres of impervious land that will absolutely contribute to the increased sediment in our waterways. This land is important for protecting groundwater in our Occoquan watershed. There are many other issues that need to be considered, such as putting development in the right place, smart growth, charging full market rate for data centers as is being charged in Loudoun County, determining the long-term need of these centers, and noise pollution. There's already other land set aside for data centers that hasn't been built. We already have 33 data centers with 8 more under construction. When is enough enough? Have you driven down Loudoun County Parkway to see what Pageland will look like? It's depressing. You can do better. We must.
Your next speaker is Kathleen Waterfall.
Hello, my name is Kat Waterfall, and I am a resident of Prince William County's Rural Crescent. I would like to briefly make 3 points to the Data Center Opportunity Zone Overlay Planning Office. First, we should not be trying to overturn established land use policy during a public health crisis. This is unfair and unethical. Second, instead of building back better, we are building back dangerously. Other countries and non-US citizens are often the owners, builders, and workers of and within data centers. Also, the nature of the data being stored itself poses a threat to local and national security. Developing a hub for the world's internet traffic within a concentrated geographic region makes it an easy physical target for our nation's adversaries. Using a centralized power grid system through Dominion Energy increases the likelihood of cyber attacks that will compromise our infrastructure, as seen with the Colonial Pipeline incident. Third, Ann Wheeler stated to the Washington Post that data centers are the county's chance to really bring in revenue and ease property taxes while increasing funding for schools and other services. Northern Virginia is set to inherit an influx of federal dollars into its economy from the newly passed infrastructure plan. As of now, we are aware that money from data centers will directly benefit at least one member of Prince William County's board. As land uses increase for data centers, there will be less viable land for schools and other public services. The best financial decision this county can make for its residents who will be living here for the long term and paying taxes is not data centers. We are human, and we need clean water, air, soil, and a harmony with nature that money from data centers will not provide. Thank you for your time.
Your next speaker is Kyle Hart.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Hart, and I'm here tonight representing the National Parks Conservation Association, NPCA. NPCA is a membership-based organization, and we focus solely on the advocacy of our nation's 423 parks, and our mission is to protect America's national parks for current and future generations. I am here tonight backed by our 1.6 million members and supporters nationwide, and our more than 43,000 members and supporters in Virginia. I am here tonight, as I have been several times in this past year, to urge Prince William County to not build data centers directly adjacent to national parks. Prince William County is blessed to have not one, but 2 national park sites in the county, Prince William Forest Park and Manassas National Battlefield. Prince William Forest Park hosts roughly 400,000 visitors a year, and recreational use generated more than $21 million in local economic output in 2020, according to NPS reports. Manassas National Battlefield commemorates the history of 2 major Civil War battles, and over 6,000 people visit the site every year to learn about the history of the Civil War, the site, and the park generated more than $33 million in visitor spending for nearby communities last year in 2020. Tonight, my comments are quite simple as the county looks for the Data Center Opportunity Overlay District and considers where to place data centers in Prince William County in the coming years. NPCA and our members urge you to consider the impacts to 2 national parks and avoid siting and building data centers directly adjacent to these two sites. As said by Kim Hosen earlier this evening, site selection in this process is key. Directly adjacent to and inside the congressionally authorized boundary of the two national park sites in the county is the wrong place for these developments. Thank you for your time this evening.
Your next speaker is Bobby Kelly.
Good evening. First, I want to say that I am not opposed to the economic growth, and I don't oppose data centers. I do live in Gainesville. What I have a problem with, and what I want to sort of reiterate that several others have said tonight, is that I'm opposed to the process of trying to expand the data center overlay and move it into a rural or in a residential area. I fail to understand how the county can be rapidly pushing significant change when, by their own admission, the Economic Development Office and study has not been accomplished and won't be until at least May of 22. Why are they not waiting for this valuable information before any changes are discussed or made? We heard earlier from a proponent of the change, the data doesn't lie. Well, we don't have data. Everybody has their own data. And I think we need a comprehensive study, and we need to look at that analysis. This kind of is an elementary comparison, but it reminds me of going into a store. It doesn't matter what store it is. It could be a sports store, it could be a clothing store. And you go in the store and there's this massive sign, everything's on sale today, 50% off. I think that Prince William County is rushing to the sale. And, you know, they're going to get home and they're going to find out they already have what they bought on sale. So what happens? In a few weeks, you go back. You say, I got to return this because I already had it. Well, I think this is similar. We have the overlay district. Are you guys rushing to the sale? Are you going to have sale remorse once this is done? The county's stated goal to make developmental decisions predictable, fair, and cost-effective. I don't see that in any of this process. You're not making a clear business case to make such a widespread change that's going to affect the nation, the county, the state, other regions.
Your next speaker is Joseph McKellen.
Hi, yeah, I'm Joe McClellan. I live in the Brentsville district. I thought this hearing tonight was to comment on the map. And being a student of infrastructure, I understand that the map was generated based on the available infrastructure that was in proximity to those areas that were marked in blue. However, there's one area shown on the Fauquier County line that there's no water. These facilities utilize tremendous amounts of water, and it needs to really, really be a part of the infrastructure consideration when citing those overlay districts. And I would just hope that that area would be taken off of the map. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Chuck Wilson.
This is Chuck Wilson. I live in the Gainesville district. We're on the brink of a history-making decision regarding the expansion of the data center overlay to include Pageland Corridor. The County Planning Commission has been studying the feasibility of the data centers, and data centers are still looking for more land. The Pageland Corridor is a perfect spot. According to a recent county study, there are only about 600 acres remaining that are available in the present 8,700 data center overlay district that meet the data center requirements. Unfortunately, most of this acreage is broken up into smaller parcels. In order to compete with Loudoun County, PWC needs to have a large parcel offer. Expanding the data center overlay to include Pageland Corridor would do just that, a parcel of 800 to 2,000 acres. And the Pageland Corridor is the right spot. It meets the requirements of the data centers. It's the best spot in PWC for data centers. It's no longer the rural area that it once was. Increased traffic, power lines running through properties, ruining what were once working farms. The Pageland Corridor will attract data center and the benefits it will bring to all the residents of PWC. Increased tax revenues, funds to improve schools, social services, first responders, bring in new jobs, the list goes on. It's a win-win situation for everyone. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The majority of Pageland Corridor residents are in favor of this. We asked the Planning Commission to include the Pageland Corridor in the new data overlay district. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Elena Schlossberg.
Thank you. First, I want to share with Rebecca that this is exactly why I was unwilling to partner with you, because this is a disaster. There are people who could not get on, who never got a link. I never got a link. This is not true transparency or public participation, and shame on you, Rebecca. You should have just delayed it. So let me say this. Why are so many people upset? People are upset because you are proposing and recommending chaos within the community. The underlying reason, and you know it, was for the data center overlay opportunity zone was to avoid what we are experiencing right now. And once again, I want to thank everybody who continues to show up. Even though you think it may not matter, do not give up. I know this feels like a dog and pony show tonight, but I want you all to know that we are making a difference because the other side is concerned. Who is showing up here to support this monstrosity in the rural crescent, our best environmental asset? The people who are destined to profit. The Pageland profiteers are the ones that are hoping that we will simply go away or that somehow the facts won't matter. The facts are that the only entities that support this industrial corridor in the rural crescent are those who will profit. It's not the Department of Forestry. It's not Watershed Management. It's not our Historical Commission. It's not the battlefield, Manassas National Battlefield. It's not the majority of the community. It's not the people on the East End who are going to suffer the consequences of an outer beltway. It's not the people who are going to suffer the consequences of a polluted watershed. So everybody, all I can say is stick with it because we have the facts on our side and we will not be gaslighted by Rebecca, by any supervisor, by anybody. And do better, Rebecca.
Your next speaker is Cindy Smith.
Hi, I'm Cindy Smith. I'm an environmental scientist. I live in the Coles District. And I want to echo what a number of people have already said. Land decisions that are predictable, fair, and cost effective, I think that would be a great idea. I'm sad that we don't have an economic analysis to study the current overlay district and the expansion. What will it truly, truly bring to the county? I'm sure we're all going to get a reduction in real estate taxes. Schools are going to have a monstrous windfall. We know that doesn't happen. But as I can't speak to those issues, I'll just stick to the environmental issues. Data centers do not belong next to national parks. They emit noise. They are heat islands. They emit heat. And I mean, if you work with people in the national parks, for example, during breeding season for certain bats, they can't even turn on chainsaws because it impacts the wildlife. And I know you're probably like, oh, well, whatever, it's just one little bat. But as every species goes due to human interaction, what are we doing to our planet here? But in Prince William County in particular, climate change models predict that we are, and it's already happening, going to have more frequent and more intense rainstorms. You put these large impervious monstrosities in areas that impact watersheds, who's going to pay to fix the streams? I know people have talked about groundwater. I'm way more worried about surface water, personally. When it rains, you've got warm water, it's hot, it's fast, it's moving off those surfaces, it's blowing out the retention ponds, moving into the streams. Are you working proactively to set up a fund to pay for this? I mean, currently, what is it? $1,000 per linear foot to revegetate streams? We've got a real issue with that, and I'd like you to have a proactive approach. Maybe you have a fund started where you're collecting money from data center industries, which I do support data centers, I will add, just not next to.
Your next speaker is Nicole Wilbur.
Hi, I live on the eastern end of the county, and I just wanted to add that I strongly oppose the expansion of the existing data center overlay district. We may have questions about the best way that Prince William County should grow, but industrial zoning and more data centers are not the solutions we need. Other communities have already learned the hard way how much harm these data centers do to the areas around them. They don't bring the jobs they promise. They hire contract workers offering short-term employment and no benefits. The data centers waste our land. They threaten the quality of our water, both the in-ground water that people in the rural area rely on for their well water and the water quality in the Occoquan Reservoir. They necessitate the construction of miles of massive power lines. And these data centers would open the door to the revival of the Bi-County Parkway, turning 234 into an outer beltway and devastating property values and the quality of life for residents and communities all along 234. These data center developers invariably bully elected officials into giving them concessions and getting out of paying the taxes they promise. And even if they do bring in that tax revenue, it's not worth it. Because the price we as residents pay is too high. We already have land zoned for data centers. Wasting thousands of acres more of land for industrial uses and data centers is not the right type of growth for our county and doesn't benefit anyone that lives here. I'm asking you to please not expand the existing data center overlay district and do not turn Prince William County into an industrial wasteland lining an outer beltway. It is the absolute wrong direction for our county. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Alvin Grimmig.
Hello, my name is Alvin Grimmig. I live in Heritage Hunt. I'm an ocean engineer by trade. And a lot of what has been talked about tonight is a problem that's been pointed out, and that is that the county is rushing forward for this initiative without having all the data and the studies done. So we have a lot of people making a lot of opinions about things that aren't factual at this point. And it's hard to comment when the data isn't there. Secondly, I agree with Cindy, the environmental scientist, is that these data centers pose a huge problem to Little Bull Run and all the way down to the Occoquan, the watershed. The runoff is tremendous, and the retention system has been drawn out. Even PWC's own environmental office has not approved this. So we're moving ahead at breakneck speed to prove something that we don't have full data on. And I would like to see the studies and see the data before PWC goes ahead and approves any further data centers. Someone made the point of, well, let's look at the data centers that are under construction now, look at the impact, and then make a decision. And I think that's a wise thing to do, but people are anxious to get money, and so that probably won't happen. Thank you for the time.
Your next speaker is John Castleberry.
Good evening. After reviewing the data center overlay, I, like many in the residents, have growing concerns about the increased development in our area as it increasingly pushes westward. These concerns are incredibly visible every day as hundreds of acres of forest have already been removed since my family has lived here. For them, this is the only home they've ever known. What were once quiet county roads become busy parkways. We have all watched as once dense forests with dozens of species of wildlife have become housing areas whose only large vegetation are large conifers planted in front of them to block the same busy road that was made to support this infrastructure. Even land within steps of the Prince William Forest is now being developed for commercial interest. What I and many in this county believe are one of our greatest assets is being diminished daily. And while a majority of the overlay is east of 234, I see ever encroaching development as a further invasion of this natural landscape. Unless the residents of this county take a harder stand against further development westward, this process will only continue indefinitely until the urban industrial sprawl has consumed our great county. I harbor no malcontent from my fellow private landowners in this county that wish to eventually sell their land to support these projects. I understand that we all have different circumstances and goals, and I support your liberty in choosing your future. I also understand that there is a significant portion of these landowners who have been left no choice. My concerns lie solely with the aggressive approach toward these data centers, the locations potentially identified for them, and the destruction of the natural spaces within this county. These decisions are permanent. There's no coming back from this development. No amount of aesthetically pleasing fences, building facades can make up for the habitats and lifestyles that you would destroy with these types of development. What these plans and policies represent to me is a group of people favoring concrete monstrosities filled with servers over their longtime residents. At the end of the day, these buildings are nothing more than data warehouses with minimal employment per square footage. If you want people to love this county and its spaces, there has to be less environmentally destructive means to accomplish your goals and preserve.
Your next speaker is Sharon Harvey.
Hello.
Go ahead,
Can
Sharon.
you hear me? Okay, great. I have sat here for another hour and a half listening to the same things that I've heard for years and years. All we want is for the studies to be done, the information and the data to be available to all of us so we can see what your thought process is while you make some of these decisions. The problem is that you have taken Board of County Supervisors and the Planning Commission a ready, fire, aim approach. You're just going scattering everywhere. We'll just do this and we'll make money, and we'll do this and we'll make money, and we'll do this and we'll make money. Wait a second. You haven't done any of the studies you said you would do. I've been involved in this for years, and you have promised us year after year that there would be studies way back, environmental studies, watershed studies, never been accomplished. I mean, I don't know if you're just dumb or lazy, but you have got to get this done before you make any more decisions that destroy this county. Thank you.
Your next speaker is Karen Sheehan.
As one of the people that had to fight to get into this meeting, let's get honest. The purpose of this event is not to gather public comments. It's just window dressing. This is just another in the public's continuing experience of being railroaded. Prince William County has 25 data centers already built. The Economic Development Department keeps changing their figures. Sometimes it's 5.9 million built out. Sometimes it's 4.9 million square feet built out. Which is it? You want us to trust your wisdom that after the 27 million square feet of already approved data centers are also built, bringing us to somewhere around 33 million square feet, that this county needs somewhere between 84 and 120 million more square feet of data centers, and the data centers are needed next to homes, schools, and parks? The current overlay district allows for between 19 to 37 million square feet of additional data center development. That amount of expansion is more than sufficient for our county. That would total somewhere between 50 and 80 million square feet of data centers for this county. Only when this county stops bending over backwards to give data centers incentives, taxes them appropriately, and constrains them to existing industrial zoned locations within the existing overlay will county citizens reap any benefits from these buildings, which consume obscene amounts of power and water, run transmission lines and substations through our communities, introduce never-ending noise, and bring threats to water, land, and people. We certainly aren't getting employment from them with only 30 average employees at a data center. The land in Virginia is not just a natural resource, it is sacred to the citizens of this county and to
Your next speaker is Tom Sheehan.
Good evening. My name is Tom Sheehan. I'm with Gainesville District. There already is sufficient space for data centers between current overlay districts and projects under construction being developed and approved. There is more than enough to meet the county data center requirements for the next 20 years. The total data center floor space existing, approved, and under development amounts to 33 million square feet. The Economic Development Office figures that there is 600 to 11,000 acres of viable data center space in the overlay. This was later downgraded to 60 to 830 acres. Assuming an average of 22,000 square feet per acre and some middle of the road estimate on available land in the overlay, there's a potential for 11 million square feet more. The result is that the current potential is for 44 million square feet of data center space in Prince Williams County, both inside and outside the existing overlay. Loudoun County is managing on only 30 million square feet. How long did it take Loudoun to get to 30 million square feet of data center space operational? How long would it take Prince William to get to 44 million? What criteria was used to establish viable land, and why was the amount downgraded? The current overlay district is meant to concentrate data centers away from housing and commercial areas and in convenience.
Your next speaker is Mary Lauren. Mary, unmute, please.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. My concern is water supply, and I'm interested in preserving the rural crescent because of its value for our water supply. And I cannot understand this whole business of data centers. Why would we want to put a data center even out in Nokesville or anywhere in the rural crescent? The county has spent a lot of money clearing up Route 1 because it was a blighted area. And yet these buildings, to me, appear to be so grotesque that I would consider it blight on the rural crescent. So I ask you, please, let's not add any of them in the rural crescent. And also, when I went looking up data centers, I found the future of data centers online, and it's a big conference in Cairo, Egypt. And it said, come to see how the big players play. Well, I'm wondering who it is we're inviting into Prince William if we are allowing all of these data centers. I don't know what how my time is going. So I have a well, and so I am, very, very concerned about preserving the rural crescent because of its value for, I'm sure, the aquifers and
That was our final logged in speaker, Ms. Horner.
Thank you so much, Christian. I want to thank everyone who attended this evening and spoke. I want to thank everybody who is watching. And I want to encourage you to continue to participate in the process, as was mentioned by some of the speakers. We are really at the beginning of the process. As mentioned by several, there are many, many studies and other items that we are currently developing and will provide on our project webpage as soon as they're ready. And we will continue to provide opportunities for people to talk with us about that, either in person or virtual meetings, public input meetings. Please send in written comments as you have been already when new information becomes available. It's going to be several more months in the process. So we will review all of the necessary information and complete the studies that the board has directed us to do in the resolution, and provide that information to the public so that you can review it and talk with us about it in these meetings before we even develop a recommendation. And it may be a little bit of time before we're even developing those recommendations, but tonight was very important because we wanted to hear your comments. I listened to every single one of your comments, and we will be posting this video to our project webpage so that it can be viewed at any time by anybody after tonight. We will also be airing it on the cable channel. And I just want to thank you again. And again, if you have questions, please contact our office. Our project manager is Alex Stanley. I am involved, as well as our Deputy Director, Mika Das. We're all able to assist you if you have questions. And we are all receiving your comments and emails. And and those are available to the public if you would like to see those in our project file. Again, I just want to thank you. And as I mentioned, I'm going to add an additional in-person meeting because we weren't able to do that tonight because of the projected weather that we thought we might get when we made the decision last night. And so I hope that that provides the input opportunities that you would like. I'm always open to hearing what other feedback and suggestions you have. So have a good evening, and thank you very much.